Are these your drugs?
Look, Dad, it's
Where did you get it?
Dad,
Answer me. Who taught you how to do this stuff?
you, all right? I learned it by watching you.
Parents who you...
I boo-hooed. I said, oh, the club put me in there. No. I put myself in there. I did what I had to do as a Hell's Angel.
You know, my daddy always, if you got in a fight and you came home with a bloody nose, did you hit him back? If you didn't hit him back, Dad put you in the car and took you back over there and told you going up in that yard and get your shit done and be a man.
They got their walls drove through by gangs, by the FBI gang, and all that shit happened to that chapter, right? Like those guys go through their being a big motorcycle club, even sometimes just being a small motorcycle club, you go through your.
A lot of people that have come in have seen definitely a change in the club and the direction that the club is going.
I looked out my window and you could see a body laying out in front. And here's this dude running around up there with no, just had his sweatshirt on. And he tells me he's a Hell's Angel. Even after all that, I still wanted to join the Hell's Angels.
People out there, man, that are just natural followers. And they just fall right in line with that type of program. But not 1%ers, man. 1%ers don't ask permission.
Welcome to this episode of Chattin With Staxx. I'm your host, Bill Staxx, and today we got a lot to talk about. There's a lot of breaking news, some new information about the shooting out in Virginia. I got some information that people have not heard yet because a lot of people don't even know what's going on down there. They just have the basics. But we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about one of the men allegedly responsible for the Shedden Massacre has passed away in prison at the age of 50. I mean, that's pretty young to pass away. Before we get started, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you can get my videos every time they drop. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Tell your mother's brother, sister, friend about Chattin With Staxx, the dopest motorcycle content on YouTube. So before we get started with all that, we got to talk about breaking news. So if you guys remember when this guy got arrested down in Florida for throwing an explosive device, he's a member of the Outlaws Motorcycle Club. They had an altercation with the Pagans down there in Florida, and he was arrested, and he was facing 40 years in prison. He was just sentenced to 7 years in prison. Outlaw Club member avoids 40-year sentence after explosive attack at Harley dealership leaves employees injured. The confrontation between rival motorcycle clubs in the Florida Panhandle escalated into explosion that shook a busy commercial district, injured an innocent employee, and uncovered a federal investigators described as dangerous cache of homemade explosive devices. Now, Gregory Simmons learned his fate. Although Simmons faced a potential sentence of 40 years in federal prison, he was sentenced to just 7 years for his role in a violent incident that unfolded outside the Emerald Coast Harley Davidson in Fort Walton Beach, Florida. According to court documents, the case stems from February 15, 2025, when an altercation erupted in the dealership's parking lot. Involved individuals associated with the Pagans Motorcycle Club. Prosecutors say the dispute quickly escalated when Simmons allegedly detonated an explosive device during the confrontation. The blast did not just affect those individuals in the altercation. The explosion damaged a neighborhood Jimmy John's restaurant, sending debris into the building, injuring an employee who had no connection to the dispute. The incident transformed what began as a confrontation between rival motorcycle club associates into a public safety emergency. Authorities say Simmons fled the scene immediately after the explosion, but investigators rapidly identified him through evidence collected during the investigation. It's probably all on tape too, right? I mean, all these are pretty much all on tape. Inside Simmons' vehicle, they recovered 4 additional explosive devices, 2 firearms, narcotics, drug paraphernalia, and an outlaw motorcycle club vest. Federal investigators later executed a search warrant at his residence, and they uncovered what prosecutors describe as a small bomb-making operation. And that's crazy. Insane. Agents seized additional explosive devices, explosive making materials, specialized equipment. Evidence, they say, indicated that Simmons had manufacturing and selling homemade explosives. It was probably fireworks or something, right? The discovery significantly expanded the scope of the investigation, raising concerns about potential danger posed by devices, whether additional explosive material had already been disrupted or distributed to other people. Federal authorities emphasized that the homemade explosives presented extraordinary risk, not only to the intended targets, but also to innocent bystanders, first responders, and surrounding businesses. The fact that an involved restaurant employee was injured underscores how quickly violence connected to criminal disputes can spill into public spaces. Although prosecutors argued the evidence supported severe penalties could have resulted in decades behind bars, the court ultimately imposed a 7-year prison sentence. I'm really surprised he only got 7 years, considering that someone got hurt. The sentence does one chapter in the case highlighted the dangers posed by explosive devices during violent confrontation, serves as another reminder of how disputes involving outlaw motorcycle clubs can place entire communities at risk. I mean, that is pretty shocking that he got 7 years. I mean, this dude lit off an explosive device and hurt an employee. He didn't hurt like one of them guys he was fighting. This dude hurt an employee. It's crazy. But he got 7 years in prison. And I don't know if he has a prior criminal record or whatever, but the feds don't fuck around when it comes to stuff like that. Hey, Lindsay, how are you? Thank you for joining me today. Jason, what's good? Happy 4th of July to all you guys. For all the people up in Canada, happy Canada Day, right? Today's like their 4th of July. So happy holidays to all of you. CMC, what's good, man? How are you? Insane Wheels is in the house. Thank you for joining me. Savage, how you doing? I remember the Shedden thing. It's where I'm from. Yeah, it's a pretty wild situation. FYI, I don't shoot Roman candles at sheriff department. I consider it an explosive device as well. Yeah, if you get caught with fireworks, they like it's bad, right? If you get caught with fireworks, you know, it's the fireworks season. I don't really get into the firework thing. I just go to different places and watch the fireworks. They have some good ones though. So what do you guys do for Canada Day up there in Canada? What do you guys do? Do you guys have cookouts? Do you like fireworks? Like what happens? And why is it on the 1st? Is there a specific reason for that? Hey, Bada Gel, what's good? How are you? Richard, how are you? Hello from PDX. So apparently, the guy that was on that tape wasn't the person in the picture. So, about that situation. I'm not even getting involved with none of that shit. And people were pretty upset that I was pointing out that Bishop's wife got beat. Like, I've heard stories, and she put out a video, right? She put out a video saying it wasn't true. But then she posts pictures with short sleeves, and it shows all the bruises that she has. So, what do you guys think? I mean, she's got bruises in the pictures. It's just crazy. And people are upset that I was fucking exposing it? What? Where did they do that at? I don't understand. Let me show you something real quick. And then you got shit like this, right?
3:00 p.m. So Harley,
Not that one. Hold up. Let me get the right one for you guys. Is it this one?
I just want to say something to my wife.
Yep, this is it. So, right? You know something drastic happened if someone goes on social media and makes a fucking video like this, right? And I heard he beat her down with a propane tank. Like, that's allegedly what happened. And if this is true, I mean, that's crazy.
I just want to say something to my wife. I'm sorry for being cranky, being irritable, emotional, just being a complete prick these last week or so. A lot of stuff going on. It's not your fault, and I'm taking my emotions and everything out on you, and I'm sorry. And I'm publicizing that because some of your brothers and sisters have noticed this. And she does not deserve me to be taking my crap out on her. I'm going to be better, and I'm not going to let things that are bothering me get in the way of it. She's my partner. She's my best friend. She's my wife. I'm not one of these guys that's too proud to admit his wrong, like I always said. And I'm sorry. I've said sorry to you a million times lately, and you're sort of just not really hearing me. And you know what? You have a right to be upset with me. So I am saying it out here publicly, so when you go on your Facebook and you see it, maybe this will be a different kind of sorry, and you might hit you a little different way.
It might hit you a little different way. You never know, right? And then she makes a video with her face full of bruises. It's just crazy. And I'm not laughing at the situation. It's a terrible situation, but get it together. Seriously. But anyway, you said they have it on the first because it became a country not ruled by Britain. I thought they were still ruled by Britain, bro. They still wear the wigs and shit in court, don't they? Canada isn't his own country, is it? Or is it ruled by Britain? Some of the videos I've seen, it looks starting to look like London. Starting to look like England. He worried about being single. Probably. So, there's other breaking news, right? So the 3 people that were arrested over in Virginia, a lot of people don't know what's going on with this situation, but guess what? I do. So these are pagan members. So apparently what had happened was a prospect. One of these guys is a prospect, allegedly, right? And he one of them was driving by, and they seen members of the Warlocks with their families out, right? And they drove by, circled back, drove around, and then came back with all these guys. And altercation happens, but these guys are with their family, right? They're just trying to protect their family. And allegedly, the other people get into the car and they're leaving, and one of these guys fires shots at the car and hits somebody. And that's how this whole situation transpired. So I'll bring you guys more information when I find out exactly what's going on. but it doesn't look good for them. They were charged with all kinds of shit. Menacing, mob violence or something like that. Arrest of 3 alleged bikers related to shooting in Virginia leaves man wounded. 3 men have been arrested following what investigators described as a motorcycle club related shooting in Grottos, Virginia. The incident left 1 man wounded and prompted a multi-agency manhunt. So that, like, when they bring in the fucking marshals and shit, it gets crazy, right? Authorities say that the shooting occurred June 21st when gunfire erupted, striking a vehicle driven by 44-year-old. I'm not going to say his name. But he's from Charlottesville. Investigators say the alleged attack was connected to ongoing motorcycle club activity, though it's not publicly specified what clubs they were. The man was struck during the incident, transported to the hospital. He was treated for his injuries. They described him as non-life threatening. Investigators quickly expanded, involving local law enforcement, and they brought in the U.S. Marshals, leading to the arrest of 3 suspects. The first suspect, Kenneth Robertson, 49, was apprehended by the U.S. Marshals that were working with local police. He was charged with criminal gang participation, malicious wounding by a mob, and conspiracy. That's really bad charges. He's held without bond. All of these guys are being held without bond. Second suspect, Michael Boserman, that's the guy in the middle, was arrested by Virginia State Police. He faces the same charges: criminal gang participation, malicious wounding by mob, and conspiracy. The other suspect, I think that's the guy on the right, is Kavion Robertson. He's only 26. Who was initially been identified as wanted suspect before taken into custody. In addition to gang-related charges filed against defendant, he has additional charge of maliciously shooting and intent to maim, disfigure, disable, or kill. The most serious of the allegations arising from this investigation. So the guy on the left is cooked. Investigators have not released details regarding the motive of the shooting and whether the victim or the suspects are known to one another. Officials have declined to speak further about this incident, citing its ongoing nature of the investigation. Law enforcement agencies continue to gather evidence, interview witnesses, and determine for additional arrests and charges that may follow. Authorities emphasize the investigation remains ongoing. It's not looking good for them. I mean, that's a pretty bad charge. Malicious wounding by a mob. That's pretty crazy. Flawless, what's going on, man? CMC. Wilson, how are you? He said, I'm Canadian. I think I would know. We're a Commonwealth. It's not the same. 2 guys with the same last name. I wonder if they're related. I don't think so. I don't know. Who knows? Could be, right? So, man was sentenced years after Maine crash that launched motorcycle driver 200 feet. I got a video for you guys. Let me get it together. This is out of Paris, Maine. And he killed a motorcyclist, stopped for the motorcyclist stopped for a bus. He was spent 4.5 years in prison. Let me see when the articles are done. I'll play it for you. Damn, he got thrown 200 feet. He was sitting at his motorcycle. He stopped for a bus. And this dude just rear-ended him. Sent him 200 feet. It's terrible. You got to be careful out there because people don't pay attention, especially nowadays with people with cell phones.
Man who killed a motorcyclist stopped for a bus in Canton will spend 4.5 years behind bars. Troy Kimball of Mexico got sentenced today. Police say Kimball rear-ended 44-year-old Travis Bovin of Leeds, who had slowed for a school bus in Canton. This was back in March of 2024. Bovin was thrown 200 feet and died at the scene. Kimball tested positive for cannabis use. He changed his plea to guilty of manslaughter with the plea agreement dropping the reckless conduct with a dangerous weapon charge. Several members of Bovin's family were in court for the sentencing.
You took a life. Your bad decision.
Hey, yo, what's up, man? Wilmington, North Carolina.
Your time in jail will never be enough for me.
Kimball will also spend 4 years on probation. He has a long history of moving violations and multiple speeding offenses. He could have faced up to 30 years in prison under state.
Damn, he faced 30 years in prison. It's crazy. Shout out to Wilmington, North Carolina. We got a great interview dropping from there. I'm working on it. Let me see here. Try to get some of these done. So this is a wild story. This guy, what the hell is it? This guy killed his girl, right? And he thinks that he is getting her inheritance. This dude killed his girl and he thinks that he's getting her inheritance. I don't know where the hell the fucking story went. There, we got another one though. Donnie, what's up, man? Donnie does dishes. How you doing? All right, so one person was killed in a multi-jurisdictional manhunt standoff. This is out of Lowell, Massachusetts. 2 men are dead after a multi-town manhunt and subsequent police standoff along Interstate 495 corridor on Tuesday. A series of events began at shops at Highland Commons parking lot in Berlin, Massachusetts around 3:30 p.m. According to Berlin police, officers were on their way to the shopping plaza for reports of an assault when they heard that shots were fired, possibly at the scene. When officers arrived, they found a man suffering from injuries from several gunshot wounds. Aid was rendered to the victim, but he was later pronounced dead at the scene. Witnesses describe hearing the gunshots rang out, and we were getting food, and we just heard a loud bang, one of the witnesses says. The person was just lying there, very still on the ground. Didn't look good. At the same time, the events were unfolding at the shopping plaza. A witness from the plaza followed a car containing alleged suspect on I-495. That's when they say the witness was able to follow the vehicle, a gray pickup truck on the I-495. When officers were able to bring it to a stop on the highway near Lowell Corridor, state police deployed emergency services. He pulled over. So they probably threw like a stop stick or something, in which the chase came to a stop. At the point, during the hours-long standoff following the chase, the suspect had a self-inflicted wound. Preliminary investigations say that for the man's name has not been released. A robot dog drone and non-lethal rounds were used by SWAT team to breach the suspect's car and confirm that he was deceased. They didn't want to walk up on it, right? Several agencies responded to the scene during the crisis negotiation. And the bomb squad, drone units, damn, they deploy them all. Suspect had some criminal history. Early confirmed. They didn't go into details about the victim's previous relationship with him. Traffic was shut down in both directions on I-495 as a result. Sky 5 captured most of the standoff on video, which began at the start of the evening rush hour after 4 p.m. All of the southbound traffic on I-495 reopened shortly after the standoff. Just before 10 p.m., all lanes were reopened. Both the suspect and the victim are male. Early confirmed. Police haven't revealed their identities. Let's see. And if you guys don't know, there's a video of this whole situation. And it was posted to social media, but it was taken down. And if I can find it, I'll bring it to you. Wait till you hear this story. Let's see. I got a picture of her too. So this dude unalived his girlfriend, right? And he was trying to get her inheritance money, like the money that was left over. It's crazy. I can't find it right now. I'll bring it to you guys another time. But anyway, let's see here. A driver dies after being ejected from motorcycle on I-481. This is out of New York. A woman has died Monday night after she lost control of her motorcycle on I-481 in DeWitt, only for an oncoming vehicle to hit her. I mean, that's terrible. I mean, it's bad enough that you crash your bike, but then you get thrown from your motorcycle and another car hits you. According to a statement from the police department, around 9:45, officers were called out to I-481 North and I-690 interchange following reports of a crash involving a motorcycle. Police found a 34-year-old woman. The motorcycle driver was dead. When they arrived at the scene, they determined she was driving northbound on I-481 when she lost control of her motorcycle, subsequently thrown off the bike. An oncoming vehicle then struck the woman. Following the crash, portions of the highway stayed closed through 3:20 a.m. Departments are investigating at the scene. I mean, that's crazy. You crash your motorcycle, you get thrown from the fucking bike, and then you get hit by another car. Just insane. You can't make it up. So the parents of a student killed in Kelly Drive hit and run begged driver to come forward. It's out of Philadelphia. Parents of a Temple University student who was killed last week in a hit-and-run incident while riding his motorcycle were pleading for the driver to come forward. Bryce Wolf was riding his red motorcycle out of the city long Kelly Drive near Reservoir Drive around 11 p.m. on June 24th when a white SUV driving the opposite direction tried to make a U-turn and swerved at the last minute and struck the 20-year-old, pinning him under the SUV as he drove for a mile before his body dislodged. Wow, that's fucking terrible. Wolf was taken to the hospital where he died hours later. Bryce was one of the most intelligent, driven, successful 20-year-olds that I knew. And you cut his life short, his mother said. Lori and her husband, Clarence, were begging for answers. We are in the dark about everything. So the driver got away and they didn't stop. We can't possibly have closure without knowing any of the specifics. And we don't have them, the husband said. They said Bryce, who was entering his third year at Temple as an architectural science major, had an internship, and he taught motorcycle safety, including to people in the police department. He was a loving son, brother. His brother has Down syndrome. He took Tyler under his wing. His brother is Tyler. Bryce and his friends help all those with special needs, he said. His mother said Bryce always drove in full gear, and he was safe. He was safe when he drove. Every single day, he wasn't a day where he left that I didn't kiss him on his head and tell him to be careful and that I loved him. His family is heartbroken and begs anyone with information to come forward. And Bryce's death is not only devastating to us, but an entire community. Anyone that knew him knew what kind of person he was, Lori said. The detective said the SUV may have broken glass on the driver's side, damage to the driver's side door, and the wheel well and fender. I mean, that's just fucking terrible. Dude hits someone and just keeps fucking driving. Insane. So if you guys haven't heard, there was a crazy bust in Australia. Millions of assets were seized in an operation targeting the Comancheros. Operation began in early 2025 that had initially been looking into the widespread drug use linked to the Comancheros. The first arrests were made in July of 2025, and further investigation. The operation was carried out across multiple phases between March and June of 2026. A total of 42 search warrants were executed across various locations in Auckland, resulting in 24 people ages 22 to 49 being arrested. Police seized 2.5 kilograms of methamphetamine, 500 G's of cocaine, and over 100,000 in cash. A quantity of guns. Firearms include 2 shotguns, 4 rifles, sawed off, and a .22 carbine rifle. They said 24 people at various stages of the court process include Patch Comancheros members and 4 nominees, 6 associates, along with Patch members of the Mongols and Mongrel mob. They face charges including importation of methamphetamine, possession for supply of cocaine, methamphetamine, and cocaine, money laundering, possession of firearms, participating in organized criminal group. Police said the investigation also included border phases with customs, who intercepted 134 kilograms. Holy shit. Assets have been restrained. Usual suspected proceeds of crime under the Criminal Proceeds Recovery Act of 2009, including 2 residential dwellings, motor vehicles, and motorcycles, which police say is a total of $1.9 million. So they seized all that shit. The detective inspector said, we're removing drugs that prevented 2 $2.8 million worth of social harm. New Zealand police will continue to target those who illegally accumulate assets of wealth through the sale of drugs, detectives said. We will take every opportunity presented to prevent harm and immediate cause by these gangs. There's a lot of shit going on out there. Let's see here. Another motorcyclist was injured Tuesday night in a crash in Topeka. This is out of Kansas. Police responded to a two-vehicle crash involving a motorcycle Tuesday night in the central part of the city. The crash was reported around 11:27 p.m. at the intersection of Southwest 10th Avenue and Washburn Avenue. According to Topeka police, the motorcycle rider was taken to the local hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. Additional details were not immediately available. One seriously injured in a single motorcycle crash on Monday night. And then we're going to get to the topic at hand. And this is a pretty wild case, the whole Shedden Massacre situation. Insane. And I have a show coming up. This coming up Monday, right? With Tony Slippers. We're going to be doing a live on Monday, and we're talking about him performing at the Gathering of the Juggalos. He got booked at the Gathering of the Juggalos. If you guys remember, I did an interview with Tony Slippers about his story. Stay tuned. It's going to be a good interview. I got an interview coming up with a former prospect of the Hells Angels down in North Carolina. A lot of crazy information. He tells us what it's like to prospect for the Hells Angels. I got another interview with Taz from Chicago, Cicero, Illinois. He was a part of this 12th Street Players. He's in prison for murder, I believe. And then I got another interview with this guy, Brad Sinatra from Houston. He's a white blood. Crazy story. He was convicted of capital murder. He served 25 years, and he tells me a wild story. You guys it's pretty entertaining shit, so stay tuned for that.
News out of we are following developing news out of Central Lubbock, where a motorcyclist was seriously injured in a crash. Now, this is a live look at the scene near Indiana.
Hey, Herman, what's up, bro?
Up here, and the call came in about 15 minutes ago at 9:45. We're told no other vehicles were involved. Few details are known as police investigate.
I wish there was an easy way to control that stink.
Hey, your wish is
I got the best chat on YouTube. You already know.
I'm here to help whack the mold, viruses, and bacteria building up in.
I'm here to whack the mold, viruses, and bacteria. So, Blood's affiliate street gang that started a war sparked by murder of a teen. This is out of New York. I got a video for you guys. And these interviews are a lot longer than my normal ones.
Criminal Enterprise Bureau was formed when I became district attorney almost 7 years ago now. And their main goal and their only goal is to get the gangs and the guns off the street. They do it every single day. They are terrific at long-term investigations and making sure that as we arrest people for guns and for shootings and for homicides, that if they are part of a gang, if it's a gang effort, that we investigate that to its fullest capacity. and they are the best at what they do. So the original crime, as you know, that we talked about was the McDonald's shooting of Cease, and then it went on from there. Last time
SoCal, what's up, bro?
Last time, but one of the times before we were in this room, we had taken down members of the Floss Funny Bowlers. This was the follow-up to that. The BG4 was the main opponent in that gang warfare, and so we spent time and made sure that we focused on BG4, and we were able to arrest 22 people for the conspiracy of attempted murder, shootings, gun possession, and criminal assault.
Come on.
In case of surprise damage.
Trying to get you guys a clip of what I'm going to be bringing you this week. It's pretty good shit. All right, so the Shedden Massacre, right, was a wild situation. I believe 8 people lost their life. Well, this individual right here is one of the people that was involved with this situation. He was a Bandidos member. He has passed away in prison. So Bandidos member convicted on 7 counts of murder dies in custody at Bath Institution. An inmate serving a life sentence in connection with gang-related murders of 8 people has died while in custody at Bath Institution. In a press release issued Tuesday, June 30th, 2026, it stated that Marcelo Aravena, a 50-year-old inmate, passed away yesterday, Monday, June 29, 2026, and suspected to have died from apparent natural causes. He was 50 years old. Looks like he was a little out of shape, but he was 50 years old. That's young. That's pretty young to die from natural causes. He was serving a life sentence in which commenced on October 30th, 2009, according to the release. He was convicted in the London, Ontario Superior Court in 2009. He's a member of the Bandidos Motorcycle Club, one-time mixed martial arts fighter, was found guilty of 7 counts of first-degree murder, 1 count of manslaughter in relation to the so-called Shedden Massacre, the killing of 8 people in a gang-related conflict that occurred in Shedden, Ontario in 2006. The CSC detailed that the inmates' next of kin have been notified. In all cases involving the death of an inmate, the CSC will review the circumstances, and the federal agency stated. So they do kind of have like what you would call the feds there in Canada, right? So the Shedden Massacre was a crazy situation with what was his name? Is his name Calistine? 8 men whose bodies were found in a field 5 kilometers north of Shedden on April 8, 2006. 4 vehicles with bodies inside were first discovered by a farmer. The day after the bodies were discovered, 5 people, including 1 member of the Bandidos motorcycle gang, were arrested for the murders, and 3 people were arrested on June 2006. The police said the killings were an isolated event and that there were no fears to public safety. The name, the Shedden Massacre, was a misnomer. The killings actually took place in a farm outside of Ina Station, and Shedden was the closest hamlet, I guess, whatever the hell that means, to where the bodies were discovered. So that's why it's called the Shedden Massacre. It didn't even happen there. Unable to stand on their own against the Hells Angels. The Chatham chapter of the Loners joined the Bandidos on the 22nd of May, 2021 as probationary members, becoming full members on December 1st, 2001. Wayne Calistine and Giovanni Mascardi, probably butchering his name too, were two of the loners that joined the Bandidos on the 5th of June, 2002, after a series of police raids led to police arrests of several Bandidos in Ontario and Quebec. Giovanni became the group's new president after the arrest. Remaining Canadian Bandidos consisted of 15 members in Ontario, spread over 3 chapters. So Wayne Calistine is the one that formulated all this plan, right? He thought, oh, he's gonna take over the club or something like that. That's what I heard. But damn, it only consisted of 15 members, and I believe the people that they were talking to in the United States, they weren't cool with all this shit happening. Muscaderi became the president only as the only senior Bandito not in prison or facing charges. And that's insane. On July of 2004, Muscaderi opened a new Bandidos chapter in Winnipeg, whose members were only probationary members. The leader of the new chapter was Michael Taz Sandham, ambitious former policeman who resigned rather than being fired for associating with outlaw bikers. So this dude was a cop. That's insane. And he worked hard to keep his past as a policeman secret. In August of 2004, after being released from prison following conviction on gun and drug charges, Calistine became the sergeant of arms for the Canadian Bandidos and was displeased at the way his former protege, Muscaderi, now overshadowed him. Journalist Peter Edward wrote that the outlaw biker clubs claimed they're all about freedom, but in reality, they're a rule-bound organization run with strict hierarchy, rules governing every aspect of a member's existence. It was a great source of resentment that Calistine now answered to the president, the man who had used to give orders to. So allegedly, that's why he was pissed off. On the 25th of June, Sandham visited Calistine's farm to complain about the willingness of the Toronto chapter to make the Winnipeg chapter full members after asking for his support. The principal reason why the Winnipeg chapter were not granted full patches was that the treasurer of the Toronto Bandidos, Louis Chopper, was accused Sandman of not paying the monthly membership dues that were owed to Toronto, with Sandham insisting that he had already paid the dues. Edward wrote Sandham had a talent of ruthless politicking and manipulation as his goal to take over the entire outlaw motorcycle club scene in Canada. Sandham had behaved in a very sophisticated manner towards Muscaderi, Louis Rospo, and Frank Salerno when he wanted to join the Bandidos in 2004, but turned on them when they stood in his ambitious way. He began writing emails to the Bandidos mother charter in Houston, denouncing Muscaderi's leadership and accusing the other man of embezzlement. And it was a rift in the Bandidos, Houston versus the No Surrender crew. And who do you think was going to win that one? Come on. On the 6th of December 2005, drug dealer Sean Dowse was murdered. He last been seen alive visiting the apartment of Bandito Jamie Goldberg Flans. 4 banditos were charged with his murder. Bandito Cameron Acorn was unhappy with Douse and decided to kill him for selling cocaine to Acorn's girlfriend's sister, despite orders to stop, possibly sleeping with her. Douse was a worker for the Chrysler factory and a drug dealer and father of 2. Flans was only a prospect with the Banditos. He agreed to let the Full Patch Banditos use his apartment in hopes he might become a Full Patch member. Bandito Robert Quinn had his girlfriend call Douse from her cell phone saying that she had a party at Flans' apartment and wanted to buy some cocaine right away. The all-white Banditos hated Douse, who was black Jamaican descent, and Quinn's girlfriend later testified in court that Douse, often described as outlaw bikers, are often white supremacists, they say, but that's not true. Not anymore. I mean, back in the day, it was a little different, but they still weren't. Some circles consider it an honor for them to slay non-whites, it says. Douse arrived at Flans' apartment by taxi. Acorn and fellow Bandito Perry Agon, Ralph Brown, Paul Sapoli, Robert Quinn fell on Douse, stuffed a gag in his mouth, and beat him to death. That's crazy. On December 28, 2025, the American leadership of the Banditos, which had grown increasingly unhappy with Muscaderi's leadership, expelled him and his followers. Damn, that must have been a huge fucking slap in the face to him, right? Failing to make money, paying their monthly membership dues. He did not have the money. About doing business in a sloppy manner, leaving it wide open for prosecution. An officer from the Texas Department of Public Safety said because their numbers were so low in Canada, the U.S. Banditos tried to separate themselves from Canada. When you get to a point where they're not even breaking even, you decide to close business. If you're not bringing anything in, you're a liability instead of an asset, it says. So on the 7th of March, 2006, you guys all know the story, right? Calistine and a bunch of other people. Followers had received orders from Houston to act against the No Surrender crew who were departing for Calistine's farm without telling him that they were coming. Assured the followers that Calistine had plenty of guns on his farm, but he brought along a bulletproof vest and a box of surgical gloves, saying they needed them to leave no fingerprints on the guns that Calistine would provide. While stopping in Northern Ontario, received a phone call from a common-law wife. Harry had arrived in Winnipeg and was looking for him. And apparently dispatched by Muscaderi and Salerno to kill Sanham, who was seen as a source of their way into the problems with Houston. So this is a huge mess, right? So on their arrival on April 7, 2006, a meeting at Calistine's farm attended by 2 factions began at 10:30 p.m. When the No Surrender crew entered the barn. The barn was full of rusty machinery, old furniture, and children's toys, while its walls were decorated with pornographic photos of young women sitting on top of Harley Davidsons, half dressed as construction workers, together with Calistine's unusual Nazi propaganda he had. Kallenstein instructed his guests to stay in the middle where they had cleared out some space. Yeah, I'm not going to stand in the middle. Hell no. He said for them to stand in the middle. Sandem was standing in the rafters with a rifle. Mercy Mather, Aravena, that's the guy that just passed away, and MH were patrolling outside armed with rifles and shotguns. They listened to the police scanners inside Kallenstein's house, and the police were sitting down the street. That's what makes this situation even crazier. The police were sitting right down the street listening to this whole situation. It's just insane. And they're listening to the scanners. According to one version of events, upon entering the barn, they saw a man with a rifle realizing he had been betrayed, firing at him with sawed-off shotgun. Sandem was only slightly injured, but he was wearing a bulletproof vest. So the guy Louis Chopper saw Sandem with the rifle, and he knew he was being betrayed. So he fired first, but the guy had a bulletproof vest on, and he was killed. He gave a gesture of the middle finger. During the autopsy, it revealed that he was still giving the middle finger. That's crazy. It says Rapso had raised his middle finger while the rest of his fingers were clenched into a fist, and Sandem bullet had gone through the raised finger, shattering it completely. Forensic evidence does not support Sandem's claim that he fired at him. He's a well-known pathological liar, not knowing for his willingness to take responsibility for his actions. Not clearly what happened. Rather than giving him the finger at the time, he used his skills as a marksman to pull a bullet through it. The No Surrender crew attempted to flee, but they were shot down or wounded by Kallenstein, who was armed with a handgun. These guys all get caught, too. The last hours of the No Surrender crew. Over the next 2 hours, Kallenstein frequently changed his mind on whether he was going to pull the patches or execute the No Surrender crew. And at one point, allowed Muscaderi to call his girlfriend, Nina Lee, on his cell phone he provided. He didn't say anything fucking stupid, he said. Muscaderi told Lee, "How's the baby? I'll see you in a couple hours. I love you." That's crazy. Let him use the phone. So they ended up putting him in. So this all happened on, I believe, the 6th, right? These guys all get caught. The bodies were discovered on the 8th, and they all end up getting caught like shortly afterwards. Kallenstein, I heard, was a crazy individual. I've spoken to a lot of people that knew him. Didn't it, Bob, didn't you meet him before too? Ken, how you doing? Wilson, what's good? Didn't you meet him before, Bob? No Grow, what's good, man? How are you? How dare they put Canada on the bottom rocker? Yeah, that's old, man. This is 2006 when this happened. This is old. This is from the Shedden Massacre. That's evidence bags with their cuts in it. I mean, they look brand new, right? See, Biker News Canada knew him. He said I knew him. He was a bug. What's that mean? A bug out? Yeah, the bodies were on the farm next door. I don't think anyone excavated his property. You think there's more people on there? Could be, right? Hey, Rah, what's going on, man? Thank you for joining me today. There's rumors he had bodies on his farm. Unfortunately, those other guys got convicted, but too much. There probably is more on his farm, huh? There's a fight promoter held tough man competitions in Winnipeg. Division. Yeah, there's some other fighters. So what do you guys think of this whole situation? Here's another article that just came out. Bikie gang member serving life sentence for Bandidos murder dies of natural causes. A convicted murderer serving life sentence in Bath Institution has died of apparent natural causes Monday, according to Correctional Services of Canada. Marcelo Aravena, 50 years old. That's young as hell to pass away. Had been sentenced in 2009 to life in prison without the possibility of parole for 25 years. And he probably still want to get out, right? He was convicted of 7 murders. He was involved in 8, but he was convicted of 7. The one-time mixed martial arts fighter based in Winnipeg, he was convicted of 1 count of manslaughter, 7 counts of first-degree murder. He was a member of the Bandidos Texas-based bikie gang, had 2 chapters in Canada, one in Winnipeg, one in Toronto. Internal power struggle between chapters, members, and probationary associates in Winnipeg were directed to pull the patches of those in Toronto who had fallen out of favor with the gang's leadership in the U.S. 8 members of the Toronto chapter were murdered in April 2006 and their bodies stuffed into vehicles. So allegedly, the people in Texas didn't tell them to do this. They just told them to pull their patches, not to end their lives. So it says 8 members of Toronto chapter were murdered in April 2006. Their bodies were stuffed into vehicles in Eagland County in southern Ontario. This guy Marcelo was one of 5 other men tried and convicted of the bikie gang executions. He chose to make a statement to the families of the victims prior to his sentencing and express remorse, according to reports from court. I have nothing I can say that will bring your loved ones back. But I did not know it was going to happen, he said. Appeals of convictions on the grounds that the jury wasn't instructed to consider duress as a defense. The threat of death if the Winnipeg Bandidos didn't follow through their orders to murder the Toronto members were denied. CSC is reviewing the circumstances surrounding his death, a standard practice when an inmate dies. So they were trying to get out of it. Do you think he knew it was going to happen? Or he just went along with the program? Wait until you guys see this interview I got coming up. It's crazy. This dude was convicted of capital murder. He tells me the whole story. I'll play a clip for you guys. Check.
It's like the tank that we were in was called the Foot Locker tank. You come off the elevator, and laws used to ask you, like, hey, man, you want to fight? So why was up? So, shit, you gonna have to for them shoes. I'm saying, so it's understood, but I'm not no pushover, homie. I ain't, you know what I'm saying? We've been squatting all our life, so I'm not never tripping about showing that work. So once you show that work a little bit, they be like, oh, he's okay. And then they see like, oh, this boy here for real. And then they know that you really know the streets. That's a major difference too, homie. That's the difference when you going in jail and you want to be cool and you don't listen to some rap music and you got some black friends, but it's different, homie, when you're in the streets. Knowing the streets is something different, homie.
I don't think he did that.
Well, that's his business, man. He'll have to walk his own. He got to, carry his own cross. So he know how he feel about anybody he left behind. So when do you get down with the Bloods? I got on in 96 when I first got on with the Bloods. You know what I'm saying? Because my neighborhood is not necessarily just gang related. Like, you got a lot of shit in Fifth Ward. But right next door to Fifth Ward is Trinity Garden. In Trinity Garden, you got Curry Road, which is understood. It's all Bloods over here. It's 5'9" bounty hunter shit going on over here. You know what I'm saying? This was Flamingo Square, all this shit in Curry Road. You know what I'm saying? Shout out Bobo Black, shout out Sinbad, shout out all the day ones, man. You know what I'm saying? Lil Darvin, all my homies, my big homies, all dead, man. You know
You grew up around mainly African Americans, right?
Without a doubt.
What's it like for a white dude growing up around African Americans?
Well, I'll tell you this, man. It would probably be a lot different for a white dude moving to the hood and trying to get indoctrinated at some point, right? But when you come from the cracks in the ground, when you come out the root with this shit, you know what I'm saying? We ate at the same table. We done slept in the same bed as children. We running in and out the same houses. So the separation that you would normally see didn't really exist here because I live under the same circumstances and conditions as everybody else. You see what I'm saying? So It's like there's not a whole lot of separation when it's like Tarzan. They found him in the jungle. He was raised by gorillas. And as he got later in life, you couldn't tell him he wasn't a gorilla. And you couldn't tell the gorillas he wasn't a gorilla. So that's what it's like in Fifth Ward.
Stay tuned. That interview is pretty wild, and it's dropping soon. If you guys like this show, hit the like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you can get my videos every time they drop. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Tell your mother's brother, sister's friend about Chattin With Staxx, the dopest motorcycle content on YouTube. Go subscribe to Patreon. We just hit 20 members. I'm trying to build it up, so go subscribe to Patreon. Exclusive content, videos you can't see on YouTube. I'm going to be dropping a lot more over there. If you want to donate to the show, hit up the Cash App and Chattin With Staxx. I appreciate every single donation. It goes a long way. And if you want to tell your story on Chattin With Staxx, just email me at billstaxx2021@gmail.com. I appreciate all you guys. And remember, don't be a bitch. Peace.
And all new at 5, a major organized crime bust. 23 people under arrest now accused of stealing guns and cash.
Today, police revealed 4 organized crime groups are wreaking havoc.
From aggravated robbery to kidnapping, burglary, and more. Let's take a look at this. New pictures from court documents in this case. These are a few of the people who have been charged, and investigators say the money, tens of thousands of dollars, is all stolen.